Yet another lesson in hypergamy. So, when you talk to young women today at length, you realize that a lot of their motivation and a lot of their, reasons for choosing men or reasons for even existing, essentially, right, is to be hypergamous. And what I mean by that is a lot of these young women, simply are living a life where their motivation to improve and their motivation to, sort of exist in the social order is so that they can get ahead, right? But see, this is the crux of the hypocrisy of the feminist movement, right? It doesn't take into account female nature, and it sort of leaves off anything in addition to definitions. And what I mean by that is you have a definition such as women are equal to men, women can do anything men can do. These are definitions, and by definition I mean these are like maxims and mantras of the feminist movement, right? This is what they spew out, their propaganda and their rhetoric. And objectively, on face value, there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to be paid for the same work or the same labor or the same skill set or the same accomplishments as men. There's nothing really that holds them back from that. And there hasn't been for 70, 80 plus years, right? There's nothing wrong with that on face value. But when it comes to reality, when it comes to what women really do, it's something totally different. And this is where we have to learn as red pill men. This is where we have to get the word out. This is where we have to be more educated and more wise and understand, because there's so many simps out there. There's so many white knight beta male orbiters, right, who are saying women can do anything. Like, they're, maybe you could argue that their heart's in the right place. I don't think it is. I want to do a video on this soon that just totally encompasses it. I've talked about it before. I want to do another video, talk about it again. But the white knights are really just sticking up for women because they want something from women, right? They think that the more that, women are empowered, the more women are going to give out free sex. And it's a weird sort of backwards way of thinking. They don't take into account that, again, sex is like, or at least, promiscuous sex is like really damaging for society. They don't understand that. They don't get that. So they think that, it's good to have, because I might get laid, or, the more women are freely giving out sex, the more chances I have to get laid. And that might be true, right? But again, they're not taking into account the long-term effects. They're not taking into account the societal detriments, right? Okay, so you get laid a couple times in, your youth, but what happens 20, 30, 40 years from now when these promiscuous women are, raising bad kids, when these promiscuous women are raising mentally ill kids? We're going to have more school shootings. We're going to have more crime. We're going to have more really damaged, messed up people to deal with in our society, in our legal system, in our taxes, right? It's going to affect society negatively. And this is the problem with what we're going through right now, right? This is what we should be trying to fight in the red pill community. Again, I call myself red pill. I don't call myself MGTOW. I don't think MGTOW men really want to fight this per se. I know my MRA guys, my honey badger peeps, and then just generally people who are against feminism, generally people who understand the ills of feminism, and generally people who support the red pill are going to know that these are real issues that we're talking about. So anyway, let's get back to hypergamy. Let's get back to the female nature. Let's get back to the importance of fighting this from a learning perspective, right? So the problem with this hypergamy and how it ties into modern feminism is that the modern feminists are claiming that, we can have equality, blah, 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 yet they don't tell the truth about how women move and how women act in reality. How women move and act in reality, the reality of female nature is what women do. Most women, I would say that the career woman is more rare. I really do think that. And it's not because they're being held down. It's not because they're being kept out. It's not because they're being oppressed in the career sector. It's because, women naturally, by nature, are not really like men. We don't have the same motivations. Women are motivated to find a high quality mate because biologically, in their nature, this is what they've done. They've always looked for high quality mates. That's their motivation. A man's motivation is to make money, is to improve his life so that he can find a high quality mate, right? Now, that in and of itself, I've said a million times, I have an issue with that. I always have, because that's hypergamy, and I don't believe hypergamy is love. But you have to understand that about female nature. You have to understand that that is the female motivation. The female motivation is to find a high quality male. It's not to find love. It's not to, they say love is blind. They say love is loyal and faithful, and like 1 Corinthians, right? Love is, love is kind. Love does not puff itself up. Love is not jealous. All these things that love is. None of that is what modern women are looking for today. Men love idealistically. Women love opportunistically. And I would even say women love conditionally, right? As long as you are successful male, as long as you are a high value male, as long as you have a good character, you hard worker, this is what women are attracted to. Why? Why are they attracted to this? Because it provides a good lifestyle for her so she can raise kids. And this is female nature. This is biology, right? Now, again, I don't like it. I have issues with it that I talk about all the time, but this is reality. So don't ever let any, feminist or simp or somebody tell you that, oh, it's all about equality and women are oppressed. No, that's a lie, right? What feminism really is about, there's things hidden, right? I think it was this movie, The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. I like that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. But there's this scene in it when Jesse and the gang are sitting around waiting for a train, and they're sitting there eating and they're talking, and this guy says, I like words. You can hide things in words, right? Well, that's very true. You can hide things in words. You can hide a lot of crap. And this is what politicians do. And this is what political movements do, is they have this great, mantra, this great definition. Like feminism objectively in its definition is very good. Like, we just want to, make sure women are treated equally. That's great. But there's all this other stuff hidden underneath that, right? Just like any politician's going to say all the right things at first. I'm great, I'm this, I'm that. And then he's going to do all this hidden, shady stuff behind the scenes. Well, this is what feminism does, right? And a lot of what feminism does is really just out in the open. It really is just out in the open, such as, attacking men's masculinity, attacking men's very nature, which is strong and, gets things done, right? This is attacking that is what creates the soy boys, right? These mothers, these divorced mothers, and who are, proponents of second wave feminism, they all raise these kids, these young men to be very feminine, to be very sensitive, and to, and ironically, I will say this: toxic masculinity is one of the only things that I agree with women on, right? There is such a thing as toxic masculinity, right? There really is. And there is such a thing as also, there on the flip side, there's such a thing as toxic femininity, right? Both men and women can be toxic in their own ways. Men give each other shit. Men don't ever emotionally open up to each other. Men don't ever allow their friends to talk about their feelings, right? That's kind of toxic. On the flip side, women are in competition with each other. Women backstab each other. Women try to ruin their friend, or their enemies, who probably used to be their friends. They try to ruin their social reputation. Like, there's different forms of toxicity, right? But if you get to the hubris, or that's probably not the right word, the essence of when women are fighting against so-called quote-unquote toxic masculinity, What they're really fighting against is masculinity itself. And they're trying to say that masculinity in and of itself is toxic. And this is when you really get around the essence of what they're saying, and when you really get the feel for what they're really talking about, and when you see it from different angles, and when you hear them talk about it in different ways, you understand that they really are just enemies of masculinity in general. Women are enemies of masculinity in general, and there really is such a thing as toxic masculinity. But that doesn't mean that feminists are only attacking that. And they probably don't even attack that. They probably don't even attack the right aspects of, some do. I've heard some, but for the most part, they're really just attacking masculinity in general, because the founding feminist mothers, right? Why I shouldn't say the founding ones, because those are back in the 1930s, 20s, and whatever. But I would say second wave, the founding second wave mothers in the 50s and 60s, they were really toxic women. They were really man haters. A lot of them were lesbians. A lot of them really hated men. And there's a lot of women. Feminism itself, as a movement or a political subculture, whatever you want to call it, is really a haven for very, very vitriolic women, very, very hateful women, right? And that's what they accuse MGTOW and Red Pill about. But a lot of what Red Pill and MGTOW are mad about is simply just the way we've been treated, simply just the way we've been hurt and things like that. Now, you could say there's some similarities between that and feminism, because there are a lot of feminists who flock to feminism because they did get hurt, and I'm not going to discount their experiences, because there are messed up men out there. There are men out there who will hurt women and use women and things like that. That does happen. But for the most part, a lot of what feminists, I'd say most of what feminists talk about today is objective, meaning hypothetical, meaning a lot of them really haven't experienced it. They're just parroting what other angry feminists are saying in an echo chamber of hate against men, right? That's not even their experience. That's the difference between Red Pill / MGTOW and feminism. Is Red Pill men actually experience what we talk about. We actually experience it. Feminists really don't. And you know how you know this is true? Because when you talk to a feminist, she's always talking about, well, do you even know the definition of feminism? They're always talking about definitions, because when you haven't experienced something and you don't have those personal empirical, I should say, not anecdotal. And when you don't have those empirical experiences, meaning you haven't experienced what you're talking about firsthand, you default to definitions, right? And that's how you know when somebody is following an ideology as opposed to following a truth. A truth is experiential. A truth is not ideological. A truth is not hypothetical. A truth is not a definition. A truth is an experience, okay? So when MGTOW and Red Pill men are talking about women, I'd say 95% of the time we are talking from experience. And you could tell. You could tell. You could tell just by listening to them. They're giving out tangible, real examples that they've gone through. And I know, because I'm one of those guys. I've gone through all the stuff I've talked about. I don't talk about things I haven't gone through. I've been through all kinds of hell, and I don't need to get into it. But, if you want to hear about it, go watch my other videos. But this is the difference, right? So again, you pay attention to what they do, not what they say. So feminists can say, "Oh, we just want equality, we just want better lives," right? Now, maybe some of them do, right? But in reality, what do women really do? We have to talk about female nature. We have to talk about how women really choose men, how women really choose their lifestyle. And many women are trying to live vicariously through men. Many women are trying to use men as a means to get what they want. And this is a crux of female nature. This is something that we have to understand about hypergamy. This is something that's so important to understand about female nature, is women are trying to live vicariously. You could say through a man or with a man. It doesn't matter. They are trying to be with a man. I would use the word with, not necessarily through. Some it's through. Many women it's through, but some it's with. And I guess it's better to be with than through. But even still, width is, fundamentally you're still being used either way, because, you are a host, right? You know what a host is. Like, you are a vehicle to get her to where you want to go. I had a guy I was talking to a while ago, and he used this analogy of a cart and a horse, and I thought that was a great analogy. Like, the woman is using the man as a cart and horse to take her where she wants to go in her lifestyle, in her life, right? This is why women are marrying guys with money. This is why women are marrying guys with their stuff together. This is why hypergamy is a thing, because women are using these men's successes, and this is why males and men are motivated to be successful, to make resources, to be able to provide and things like that, so that they can actually get a woman. And so a woman is, this is her motivation, this is her nature, this is her, and you have to understand that, right? It's really fundamental that red pill guys understand that, particularly young guys. You really need to understand that she's not looking for love. She's looking for a means to an end. She's looking for a guy to get her, to propel her as a vehicle or utility to get her where she wants to go. And this is a lot of how women view men. Why? I'm not 100% sure why. It's just part of their nature. I don't know exactly, right? Women are very linked to having babies. Women are very linked to, that maternal instinct. I would say women even love their children unconditionally, but they don't love men unconditionally. I would say that women love their children more than they love men. They just look at us differently. They view relationships differently. They view the marriage prospect differently. They really do. They view it almost as a business transaction. They view it transactionally, right? Well, what can I get for my worth? They look at it like a market. This is why people talk about the sexual market. Sexual market value. It's a market. What is a market? A market is a place where people can go and buy and trade goods. So people are looking at relationships completely wrong. People are looking at relationships as if it is a trading scenario, a scenario where you would go and sell and buy a commodity. And this is actually at the core of my whole. This is what I talk about in all my videos. I talk about this. I talk about that it's an exchange. It's a commodity. Sex is a commodity, and women are selling and buying and leveraging relationships through sex. She wants a nice house. She wants to live in a nice area. This is how women are. They won't tell you this. They won't tell you this is their motivation, because I think they know that it would make them look shallow. Women are very smart. They're just not, pure. I wouldn't call looking for a man, to provide a high quality lifestyle for her something pure. I wouldn't call that, true love or pure love, whatever you want to call it. I would call that deceptive. I would call that shallow. I would call that using a man, and many people would. This is why women don't talk about it. This is why we have to discover it the hard way. This is why guys like me have to get on a microphone and talk the way I do, because it's not in books. It's not in, pop culture. We don't talk about it. It's just something that many people know. They just accept it. Okay, well, that's the way it is. Okay, well, I guess I got to make the money so I can get that girl. And then they wonder why they get divorced in 5 years. And then they wonder where their relationship went wrong. Well, it was wrong from the very beginning. It got the wrong start. And I think that women don't even care. I think that because women are in such abundance, they can get a new man at the drop of a hat anytime they want. They don't even care. They don't even look at it from a wholesome perspective. They don't even look at it like, oh, I want to love my man for the rest of my life. And some do. Many don't. Some just like, okay, well, I got a kid out of him, and he's going to pay for my kid, and I get child support, and I get alimony, so I'm good. Everything's good, and they feel like they're winning. Many women are like this, right? They feel like they're winning in that scenario. And then on the other hand, yeah, okay, there's women out there who say, I want to be with one man and I want to love that one man and I want to be faithful, and they put their best foot forward and they go into it. They go into the relationship, you know, really expecting it to work out from a love perspective. However, again, that whole hypergamy is still in the background. Just because she wants to go into a relationship not wanting to divorce someday, or she doesn't even feel like she has that option, doesn't mean that she's still not hypergamous. But again, you got to understand, many women do look at it like that. Well, if we get divorced, at least he's got money so he can take care of me. Trust me, many women do look at it like that. That's how they look at it. Well, this guy's got money. If we get divorced, I'll be taken care of. Well, dear, you'll be taken care of either way, because you're a female and you can fall back on welfare, you can fall back on the state, and they will house you if you have a child. You can get free housing. You don't have to work. That's the kind of society we live in. But yet they still want to use men, not just the state, men and the state, or some variation therein, or just men, period. This is, I mean, like, why? What are all these basketball wives doing? Like, what are all these rappers' wives doing? Well, you know, like, look at Nicole Young, Dr. Dre's ex-wife now. She tried to get 120 million a month or some insane number. Maybe not that much. Maybe it was like 1.5 million a month. I think it was like 1.5 million a month, not a year, not a whole lump sum settlement, a month, guys. What? Like, what? I mean, I get it. Dr. Dre is probably worth like 2 billion or 1.5 billion or something. That's a crazy ton amount of money. But $1.5 million a month, and she thought she was going to get it, and she didn't get it. Thank God. But that's horrendous. And you can watch who is it? Aries Spears. He has a stand-up special where he's talking about how much he has to pay in alimony or child support per month, and he said it's heinous. And I think he talked about it on DJ Vlad's channel, and he said it's heinous. Right? And someone should make a meme about that. I might, but heinous, man. He used the word heinous. He said it's heinous how much he has to pay in child support, right? And yeah, he makes a lot of money, but what did the woman do? What did she do? She just slept with him? She just sold him some pussy, right? You know, if you think about it, that's all she's doing is selling pussy. So this is how women go into relationships. They go into it thinking, yeah, we probably will get divorced, because, if they know it's a 50% chance of divorce. So they say, I'll probably get divorced, but you know what? He's got the money, so if we do get divorced, he can pay me. He can take care of me, right? Well, that's not love at all, right? I mean, obviously, first of all, you're going into it thinking that it might not work out, which is not a good way to go into something. You should be damn sure. You should say, this is the one. But women don't even look at it like that, because what happens when you look at a man as if he is a means to an end, as if he, does he have resources, that you will compromise real love. You're not going into that looking at like, do I really love this guy's heart? Do I love his soul? Do I love his personality? Do I love all his little, nuances? Do I love all his little idiosyncrasies, right? All the things that make him uniquely him. Do I love all those things? No, she's thinking, what kind of car does he drive? She's thinking, what kind of house does he live in? She's thinking, how much money does this guy have? This is what women are doing. This is female nature, right? So we got to know that, man. We got to understand. We got to understand that that's, so crucial, because this is what women are doing. And so it's like, if you're a young guy and you're like, well, I don't understand women, that's what you got to understand. Now, is there exceptions? Probably. I think that it's possible. I know women, I've known women to be homeless, with their man, to, stick with their guy even when he's bummy and not complain, even though that's a freaking rare thing. Right, because women love to complain, because that part of the reason why women nag men to be better and to make more money and to have a more advanced career. The reason why men nag, because they nag and argue, and the guy needs to take better care of the house or improve this or improve that. The reason why they nag is because of their nature, which is hypergamous. All right. Now, I made a video last night, and I brought up the argument that maybe that's a good thing for society because it advances us and it keeps us on our toes. Maybe it's good for, the human race as far as survival is concerned. Now, maybe that's one way to look at it. But from a love perspective, at least to me, I could never play into that. It's like, nah, man, if you're not with me when I got nothing, if you're out sleeping around, if you're out riding the carousel while I'm going to college and I'm working my way through and then you don't deserve to be with me when I get my shit together. You don't deserve to be with me when I'm paying a mortgage. You don't deserve to be with me when I'm successful. What did you do while I was successful? You just went out and slept around, right? What did you do? Like, even if you make more money than me, like it's like, well, why weren't you there? Why weren't you there when I was 20? Why weren't you there when I was 18, 19? Yeah, that's awful young, but on the other hand, why not marry? Why not marry young? Why not find the love of your life? I was looking for love at like 16. I was looking for love real young. Now that's probably too young, but I'm saying, I'd say 21, 22, right when you get out of college is a pretty good time to get married. So you don't go sleep around, so you don't go pass around your goods. And it does matter, no matter what these little thoughts say, no matter what these little feminists say, it does matter. You passing out your cookies to the whole class, what are you going to have left for your husband, right? You can get used up. I don't care what anybody says. Look at these ex-hoes, they got mental issues. They become borderline bipolar. They are substance abusers. They often have depression. They got mental issues, again, because when you sleep around with somebody that you're not in love with, sure, sex is good, it feels good, it's great, but it makes you mentally ill. It warps you, it affects you, men and women, but particularly women, because women are emotionally attached to sex. And they hate men. They hate men for the fact that men can, disassociate and detach from the emotional aspect of sex. They hate that about men, right? That's a universal truth right there. They really hate that about men. They hate the fact that men can disassociate from the emotional aspect of sex. They envy it because they're not that way. And if a woman is that way, if she can do that, you really better run, because something's really wrong with her. And I've dated women like that, and I've met women like that. They can disassociate from the emotional aspect of sex, and they are toxic as heck. That's probably the number one attribute of a succubus, right? Being able to disassociate from the emotional aspect of sex. Something's really wrong with her if that happens. That means she's probably really had a lot of sex. She's really been around the block, right? These are red pill gems, man. I'm dropping red pill jewels on you guys. You guys need to, if you're young and if you're inexperienced with women, soak this up, man. Soak up this game, because not many men are wise this way. Many men think, oh, I got to play the game. I got to be in the matrix. I got to be in that blue pill world. I got to play that blue pill game. I got to go out and work. I got to have a good job. I got to, I got to live up to her standards. They're real busy trying to play that game, man. And this is what red pill guys and MGTOW guys discovered. They say, hey, I'm not going to play that game. I'm not going to play into your societal. I'm not going to play into your crap. I'm really not. I'm going my own way. I'm figuring it out on my own. Or, you can play by my standards. You can come up to my, specifications, right? I don't want no gold digger. I don't want no hoe. I don't want no woman who's been around the block. I want a pure woman. I want a young woman. I want a woman who, has her stuff together. She's not hypergamous. She's not just loving me because of my money. That's smart. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to learn about female nature. All right, guys. So that's today's lesson. Appreciate you listening. It's been Jay Lee with Northwest Podcast. Peace.